Okay, so here's another video from our series of rehab projects we've done over the years. This particular one was in Rock Hill, South Carolina. So starting with the project overview. So this was a 3-bed, 2-bath brick ranch. It was built in 1956 and it was 2,008 square feet. The seller situation, it was an estate property. They'd been inherited by a brother and a sister. Uh, they were out of town owners. I still remember the sister got in touch with me. She was, I believe, in Chicago, and she was just looking for a simple process to basically offload the property. They were considering maybe trying to list it with a realtor, and they were weighing their options in terms of, what those costs would be versus just an outright sale. And anyway, they were just looking for an easy process with no repairs because the house, in my opinion, I don't know that it ever had any updates, maybe since its original construction. They actually grew up in the property. Her mother lived there until she had passed. And so it was almost a museum. It never, I don't know that it had ever had any updates to it, but you'll see in the photos. The purchase, so it was a cash purchase. We were able to convince her that it made sense for an outright, just quick and easy, simple closing process with no repairs and no realtor commissions and no closing costs or anything like that. So we went that direction. And basically, they wanted to leave a few things in the property that just so they wouldn't have to deal with it. So we let them do that. The renovation overview. So this was pretty much a full restart. Electrical, we fully rewired it, all new fixtures, plumbing, fully replumbed with the exception of, I think, a few drain lines. We actually ended up moving a few things around, all new plumbing fixtures, HVAC. So we put in a new heating and cooling unit, new thermostat. So big upgrade there. Structural, luckily we had no big structural issues to deal with on this one. Kitchen, so it was a complete gut and update. So we took it all the way down to the studs, re-insulated, completely started over. Living room and kitchen. So we did do a neat accent on this particular one. The ceilings had some just intermittent damage through them, and from a patching standpoint, we kind of were weighing our options, and we thought that doing an accent with the tongue and groove would really give it sort of a country sort of feel, and we wouldn't have to address some of that patchwork that we were seeing. So we went with that, which you'll see in the photos. In the bathrooms, we did full gut jobs and full renovations on those. And in the master, the master bath was actually really small. I think it was even smaller than the hall bath. And so what we did was there was a closet on the back side of that particular bathroom. So it was leading off the hall. It was almost like a linen closet. So what we did is we actually gutted that out, and then we're able to increase the size of the bathroom. So that really did a lot for the master. So we did refinish the existing tub in the hall bath. And it kind of had a neat shape to it and some definition to it. So we did try to salvage that. We converted the exterior utility room to a walk-in heated laundry room. So there was, I guess, back in the day, there was a lot of times if you had a laundry room, a lot of times it was outside. And so the washer and dryer were outside. So you'd actually have to walk outside and go out there to do your laundry. And then there was a hot water heater in there as well. So what we did was we ended up relocating the hot water heater to a little storage area. And then we basically finished off this, what was the utility room at that point as being an exterior, finished it off, took it all the way down the studs, insulated, drywalled, and then we made a door opening that led off the dining room area, which you'll see. All right, so in terms of flooring, so the property had hardwoods throughout. I think the owners, they had actually toggled around with the idea of renovating this property themselves. They were kind of between that and listing with the realtor or just doing an outright sale. But they actually did pull up the carpets, and there were hardwoods all throughout, which were actually in pretty good shape. I don't know that a lot of them had been sealed, so luckily there weren't any major stains or anything like that. So we did have a good hardwood system to work with, so we refinished that. And then we installed tile in the laundry room and then the bathrooms. All right, and so we ended up having to build some custom barn doors for the bedroom closets. So they had these kind of really wide cased openings, and the doors really that were there didn't function all that well, so we couldn't really salvage them, and there was some sort of damage to those, and we couldn't get standard door sizes to fit these particular cased openings. So what we did was we ended up custom building these barn doors for those particular openings. On the exterior, so a lot of people like to paint brick, but what it does is it kind of masks the pores of the brick. So brick really is almost like a sponge. It'll absorb water and then it'll dry out. It'll absorb water and then it'll dry out. So when you actually paint brick over time, it's just a matter of time that the paint's going to start to sort of peel away, no matter how well you prime it and that sort of thing. So what we did, we don't like to try to paint houses with normal like latex or oil-based paints and that sort of thing, or even masonry paints. What we did was we used lime wash, and that's just a natural product that still allows the brick to breathe, basically, and function in its normal sort of state. So it doesn't clog those pores up to where it's going to eventually, peel off. So we went with a lime wash, and it really turned out well. It just gives it a nice matte, sort of chalky finish. So that did a lot for it. The roof, we did a full replacement architectural roof on this one. Windows were all wood windows that were completely dated and completely energy inefficient. So we replaced all those. And then the landscaping, there was actually a lot of overgrown shrubs in the front yard that really took away from the kind of the facade on the front and just the look. And so we actually ended up ripping a lot of that out and just completely starting new. Did a lot of new mulch work, and then planted a lot of new plants and small shrubs. All right, so we'll get into the before and after photos. All right, so starting with the exterior. All right, so you can see this is it's kind of a plain Jane sort of look. You can tell the house has good, some good bones. It has a good, nice sprawling layout to it. You can see those bushes are sort of a little much there. So we ended up taking those out, and you can see what we did here. So like I said, new architectural roof, all new gutters, kind of gave it a modern look with the black gutters. Did the custom cedar shutters, did some custom cedar work on the front railing there, and we did go in and plant some new shrubs, which are going to grow into size. They're a little small there, but you can tell the exterior came a long way. It was a big difference, kind of a real plain look to a more modern look here. So again, this is another angle here from the left side, and you can see kind of what that transformed to. The front steps, so it had this sort of I guess what was like almost like a wrought iron sort of accent. You can tell it's fairly dated looking there. So what we did was take all that out and then go with a new cedar look. You can even tell just replacing the front door and painting it, that made a really big difference. All right, so here's a view from the back. There's a little screened-in porch area there and a carport, and so you can see a big difference here. The black gutters just really make it pop, I would say. It just gives it more of a focal point because since the house, especially since we went with the white lime wash and your overhangs are white and the windows are all white, it needed something just to give it some contrast. So that's why we went with the black gutters. Little screened in porch area, just zoom in there. We did end up rescreening that. We put a new storm door on. You can see the new entry door there that actually leads into the kitchen. But repainted this whole carport area. It was just really dated, and it needed a new finish, needed new paint just to kind of give it a renewed look. It had almost like a green stain on these tongue and groove boards. It's hard to see in this particular photo, but anyway, we painted that gray color to give it a nice pop. All right, so the foyer, this is leading in from the front door, and just kind of looking back toward the front door. This would be on the other side of that would be some of that custom cedar work that we did. So you can see just very dated. And then again, this house actually was full plaster. So plaster ceilings, plaster walls, and plaster can be extremely difficult to work with, especially when you get into doing demo work, because usually, and this house had it was a metal lathe behind the actual plaster material itself, and it's just a complete mess to work with in terms of demo. So we made it through this one, but it wasn't easy doing demo on the kitchen and the bathrooms. All right, so kitchen. You can see really dated sort of pine wood cabinets here that was really popular back in sort of the late 50s, early 60s. You can especially see like the yellow countertops there. And you can see what we did. We actually ended up opening this up and tore down that little, what we fully gutted the kitchen out. But you can see just what I'd taken that transition sort of backing area there that was like a backdrop for those cabinets. And that was his sole purpose. They wanted the cabinet space. That's why they had to build that wall in there. But you can see what opening it up did. It just made the room feel so much bigger. And you can see the tongue and groove accent ceilings that I talked about earlier. That really did a lot for it to give it sort of a really country, sort of farmhousey look. You know, we did try to preserve kind of an old school feel about this house and kind of maintain a theme. And it was sort of this rustic, sprawling ranch theme, kind of a country look. And we went with those older sort of schoolhouse light fixtures there that you see above the peninsula. Went with the oil rub bronze just to pop on the white cabinetry. And the backsplash was actually, those are actually real brick. So I ordered those. That's a vintage brick. And what they do, this particular company, is they salvage brick, and they'll tear down, when people tear down these buildings or whatever the case may be with this old brick, this company will take that brick and actually take it back to their factory, and then they'll slice it almost like you slice bread or something like that, and produce these thin pieces of brick. So they call those brick thins, and you can actually apply that just like you would backsplash, just like subway tile or something like that. So you put them on, get them adhered, and for the grout, you're actually going to use like a masonry mortar. So we had a grout bag or mortar bag and mortared the joints, and then you let it set up, and then you kind of brush it nice and neat, and then you have a nice brick look that goes on the exact same way that like tile does. So if you can do tile, you can do brick thin application. So, but that did give this a nice, unique look that wasn't the same as just going with the subway tile like you see in a lot of properties. We did do quartz countertops on this particular one. It was just a nice, clean look. We knew we were going to go with the brick backsplash, so the white sort of backdrop for the cabinetry and the countertops just really, meshed well with that. All right, so this is looking back toward the kitchen from what we would call the den. You can see that's where those the cabinets were using that wall as sort of their attachment point. And you can see there's a little actual pantry there on the left side. We took those doors out and put new, and we did all new interior doors in the 5-panel look, just to give it that sort of modern feel with sort of preserving an older look too. But you can see it just opened it up, and this house was so dark because of all the dark wood. So even just getting the walls, we went with almost like this. I believe this is oyster white in the Sherwin-Williams. It's just a nice sort of slight off-white color to it. All right, and so here's in the kitchen, looking back towards the dining room. That's where you would, if you pass through that door right there, that's going to be your dining room. And there was like a little built-in desk here, and another little sort of pantry area. So completely redid that, took the door out, reworked that cased opening. Then we decided to put our fridge there where the pantry was, in the desk area. You can see, so it's a pretty big transformation. And the thing about this kitchen I forget to highlight is it was actually, you can kind of see it there. If you look into the kitchen floor, it was 12 by 12 vinyl tile. Let's see. Yeah, you can see it in these photos. So we basically were able to work with our hardwood contractor and mesh in with the existing hardwoods that are on the other other areas there on the other side of the kitchen. So we created a seamless look. So that's actually old hardwood transition into brand new hardwood into the kitchen area. But you'd never know, but you can see in this photo really well. So you can't even tell that we basically finger jointed it and worked it from old to new. So living room. Okay, so this is a pretty straightforward room here, just a wide open living area. But you can see just how long or how far just simple paint, new fixtures, and floor and stain and refinishing floors can go for you. Dining room. Again, this is right off the kitchen, and the living room we were just looking at. And this was a pretty big change. And we did do an accent ceiling in here. We kind of went with a sort of an older look. We even used the little medallion on the ceiling and everything. So just to give it a little character. I like in the dining areas usually to do some sort of like wainscoting, or this was the accent we did in this particular one, just to give it sort of that feel that you are in a different dining area of the house. So another photo looking back kind of displays the accent we did on the ceiling. Okay, so the den is just right off the kitchen. This is standing just near that wall that the cabinets were on that we ended up taking out. And again, you can see just how much lighter and vibrant it is in this room just from painting the walls and giving a new fresh life, especially with the ceilings too. The going with the glossy paint, it kind of reflected a lot more of the natural light. All right, here's looking across the room at the fireplace, and then you can see the pantry doors over there. We did preserve those built-ins. We tried to save the doors on the built-ins, but they weren't functioning and opening and shutting properly. So we ended up buying some new doors to match the shaker style that we used in the cabinets throughout the house. And you can see it really turned out well. And we were on the fence if we were going to try to paint the fireplace, and we just ended up keeping it with the red brick look, which we thought it turned out pretty well. It just kind of give it a little character. All right, so the laundry room. Okay, so this was just off. If you went outside the kitchen into the carport area, this is how you would get into this particular area. I don't know if I have a great photo showing how you get in, but there was basically an outside door, and you would come in, and this laundry and washer were on your right. So that exterior door, we ended up framing that in and then completely covering that up. There was existing tongue and groove boards on that wall, so we reworked that wall, did new tongue and groove over the patch over the exterior doorway. Then we made a new interior doorway, so we cut a hole in and then made a new interior doorway to get into this from the dining room area. So you can see that's looking back to your right if you were in the old utility room, and that's looking the same direction. So that's where the washer and dryer would have set. And we actually ended up relocating this hot water heater on the opposite side of this back wall here where the washer and dryer would sit. And then obviously we got rid of the sink there. And now there's our new door opening that goes and leads into the dining room. So, and we did end up running a heating and cooling duct over to this area to get the added benefit of the additional heated square footage, which would help with our sales price at the end. All right, so master bedroom. Pretty straightforward. Most bedrooms in these renovations are all about the same. It's like flooring and paint, and maybe some doors or windows. But you can see the transition here. All right, so the master bath. Again, this is a really small bathroom. It's just hard to get good photos unless you got a wide lens camera or some sort of panoramic setting, I guess, on your phone for these small bathrooms. But anyway, this is it was really cramped. It was really small, especially for a master bath. So we knew we needed to somehow make it bigger as a selling point, because we thought it would be a kind of a sticking point for buyers if their master bath's actually smaller than the hall bath. So you can see what we did here. So this is looking back, dimming that all out. Again, this was all plaster. This was really thick, old school tile. It was just really stubborn to work with. We had the mosaic tile floors we had to work with as well. It was just a mess. So Anyway, we went back with the quartz countertops, shaker style cabinets, the oil rub bronze, just a nice clean, the black on white look. And not the best photos here, but just a combination. This is actually the photo on the left is you're in this tight little bathroom looking toward your right. So if you were looking to your left, this is what you saw. But if you look to your right, you would see what was like a kind of some built-in shelving or storage, and then the shower unit itself was like a 2.5 foot by 2.5 foot little shower surround, basically. And so we knew we needed to make this all bigger. So obviously we demoed out those sort of that cabinetry and all the tile and everything. But on the other side of that wall is the hallway, and then that linen closet. So if you look at the end of the hallway in the photo on the right, what we did was to make more space, we ended up demoing out that whole closet, taking out the wall that separated the bathroom and that closet, and then we ended up taking that door down and closing that in, re-drywalling through that and reframing that wall. So what we did was we were able to add probably about two foot minimum we were able to add, and it made a big difference because the bathroom was already so small. So you can see what that turned out like. Went with the larger style subway tile, which is actually helps the project go a little quicker when you're doing the install. Went with a cool mosaic accent in the niche areas there for your shampoo bottles and that sort of thing. And again, did the glass surround, which is a nice clean look. All right, so bedroom 2. Again, these bedroom photos are usually pretty straightforward. So you can see the barn doors that we talked about. It's in the exact view looking back through the room, but it's about the best photo I had. So, but anyway, the barn doors there, those were a project in themselves, just getting them built and hung, especially because they had a little weight to them because they were so large. Did the same thing in the other bedroom. So see the barn doors there. And then the hall bath. Okay. So this hall bath, just like the other bathroom, was completely dated. Had the large tile, had the plaster. It was a big undertaking just getting this thing demoed down to the studs. And what we did was to kind of make the bathroom a little more functional is if you walk right behind the door on the left was actually built-in cabinets similar to what the master bath had. So what we did was we ended up relocating that pedestal sink or the sink area over to the left and making kind of a built-in area. Just kind of gave the bathroom a little more functionality. So you can see what that did. It looks like it belongs there, So you look there to the right, you had some storage space in the cabinets behind the door, but in terms of actually being functional, living day to day with that little sink, it just in today's times, it just wasn't gonna, hold hold well. So we worked in as much cabinet as we could. I believe there was storage drawers on the right and left, and then you had your doors in the middle there. But it really turned out well. Okay, here we go. And this is looking back, and this is about the best photo I had, showing kind of the shower area. But you can see it really. We went with the larger subway tile again. It just helps with the install go a little quicker. We did refinish the tub, new windows throughout. And that kind of wraps it up. So again, I appreciate you taking the time to check out the video. This was a pretty big undertaking. Like I said, this house was basically like a museum and never seen any real renovations from what you could probably see in the photos. So it was a complete redo. I think we were on this project for, it was close to 8 months. It was a large scale project. It was a little bit out of town from where we're at, so it took us a little longer. But anyway, it really turned out well. We got a lot of great feedback on it. It sold quickly, so I think that was a reflection of the time and dedication we put into it. But we are a company that buys houses and land in any condition. So if you have any further questions or want to discuss your property, feel free to reach out. You can reach us at our office at 704-727-6161. You can email us at info@m1propertygroup.com. And then you can also fill out a web form on our website or our homepage at www.m1propertygroup.com. Again, I do appreciate you taking the time to check out the video. I hope you enjoyed it, and hopefully I can put together some more soon. Thanks.